Somebody let me know, guys, know that you guys can hear me. All right. Thank you, Allie. Hope everybody's doing good today. Hi. It's hot. It's real hot. I know that people have questions, and there's a couple of questions that are actually looming right now, and they mostly have to do with the new security deposit amount starting July 1st. If you are a mom and pop and own no more than 2 parcels totaling no more than 4 doors, including the house you live in, you could be exempt from the maximum security deposit. The issue with that is tenants are going to argue with you regardless and say, no, the new law says only 1 month. So we're going to have a lot of kickback from that. Even if you're trying to implement that as a landlord and not have those problems, I anticipate that is going to be a big issue for you because most tenants are going to make comments along the lines of, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. What they don't know is there's some provisions in the law that allow that to happen. So with that being said, be mindful because you're going to get a lot of kickback if you're trying to implement a higher security deposit after July 1st. I know I would if I was a tenant, not fully understanding what the legal jargon said. Because mind you guys, they are advertising on the news. Channel 7, starting July 1st, landlords cannot take more than 1 month's rent as a security deposit. They're not going into depth and saying except. So those of us that are going to try to use the except, be ready. We're going to get some kickback, some pushback, and it's not going to be pretty, I'm sure. All right, that is my biggest concern to let you guys go with going forward into July 1st. What do you guys have? I know you guys need stuff too. That's why y'all logged on today. It wasn't just to say hi, Patty. It is flipping hot. I'm trying to figure out how hot it is. Oh, no wonder I'm miserable. It's 110 degrees where I'm sitting. I walked out the door and was like, oh God, I'm gonna melt. All right, anybody have anything that they need to discuss? Something that they want to talk about? Things that we need more clarification on? What you got, Julia? I hear you out there. Who's out there?
Patty?
Yep.
Hi. I had talked to you the other day via text regarding the company that does the utility bills through the RUB system.
Yes.
And you told me to go into livable.com.
Uh-huh.
But I called, maybe I have the wrong email or I don't know, but that's what came up. It's not, they don't take care of things like that. It's when I looked livable, I don't know if I'm spelling it correctly. It says residential building, sober living, housing, garden room, and I called them, it's not them.
I'll send you the link. There's another one. It's
Okay.
livable utility ratio building or something like that. I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I'm like, no, it's not a homeless shelter.
No.
Oh, goodness. That one's easy. All right. What else do we got out there, folks?
Well, hi, Patty. This is Linda, and I wondered, I have several questions. I'll start with the easiest one first. How do I get a tenant to put utilities in their name? They've lived there for about 5 years, and there was no problem, and now all of a sudden I'm getting their utility bills. They are paying the bills, but this is an irritant to me to have to take the bill over or mail it to them.
What does their lease contract say?
Oh, they have to pay their own, gas bill or utility bill.
Okay, so they're in violation of their contract, correct?
That's right.
All right, so you can serve them with a cure or quit notice because they're in violation of their contract by not having the utilities in their name.
Yay, I'm happy to hear that. Thanks. Okay, I
No
have
problem.
another question. I've installed cameras at some of my locations. Am I supposed to post a sign that I have cameras or no?
You can post properties under surveillance or video surveillance happening, but it's not necessarily a requirement.
Yay. Okay, so now I have, with the cameras, I see that I have two tenants who have unauthorized occupants. One of them seems to be a squatter because I'm not seeing the original tenant. And I have that recorded. But of course, I don't want him to, go to a jury trial when I try to evict him. So for proof, do I just need pictures of the people with him never being there? How do I prove my allegation that there are unauthorized tenants?
Dates, times, and witnesses, and your video footage is the witness. You're witnessing the video surveillance.
Okay, so do I print pictures or from the videos or
You
or
can,
how does
but
that technically?
what you need to do is serve a 3-day cure or quit for unauthorized occupants. It was seen on blank day at blank time by blank person that you had unauthorized occupants in your unit. It was also seen on blank date at blank time by blank person that you had an additional unauthorized male occupant in your unit. This is an ongoing nuisance. Please remove the unauthorized occupants within 3 days.
Awesome.
Also on a cure or quit.
Okay, and the cure or quit is 30 days or 60 days? 3 or 30 and 3 or 60?
Is this a mobile home?
No, they're separate houses.
Is the tenant on Section 8?
No,
Is this in City of Los Angeles, LARSO?
no.
3-day cure or quit.
Okay, with no, so I can evict him after 3 days unless they
No, no,
protest?
no.
Oh, darn.
You're if they don't comply with the cure or quit notice and you go back in and inspect and there's still a problem, the proper process and procedure is then to serve a 3-day quit.
Okay.
What city is this in?
It's in an incorporated city in Los Angeles County, Bellflower.
Okay. Bellflower. I'm trying to think. I don't think that they have their own ordinance. So this
No.
falls under California state law. So you need to ask your legal counsel how many curables you need to have in play before you can do the quit. It depends on what your attorney's willing to argue.
Okay. Okay, and my last question is, oh, wait. Oh, I think that's it. Thank you very much. If I think of it, I'll butt back in. Thank you,
Perfect.
Patty.
No problem. Thank you. Next,
Patty,
next. Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I was having trouble with my microphone, but I have a utilities question. So, SFR in the city of San Bernardino, it's the one you've been helping me with. They've given me their 30-day notice, move out date, June 30th. As far as utilities, usually when I do the pre-move out inspection, I let them know, you make sure you terminate utilities on the 30th, and then I'm going to put them in my name on the 1st. I don't know if they're leaving or not, just because I thought they would pay June's rent, and obviously they didn't. So should I even put the utilities in my name? Because now I'm concerned if they don't move out, I don't want to be paying for that.
Wait till they're shut off. The other thing you can do is and I don't recommend this. Everybody hear that loudly. I don't recommend this. You can actually make auto turn on with your utility company so that if the tenant's utility is shut off, it automatically turns on in your name. Why doesn't Patty recommend that? Because in the event your tenant's utility gets shut off for non-payment, all of a sudden it comes right back on and it's in your name and they're running up a bill you have to pay. That's why Patty doesn't recommend it.
Mhm.
The utility company doesn't tell you, they just auto turn on. And 45 days from now, you get a giant electricity bill or whatever the bill may be because they auto turned it back on in your name. So I would just wait until you have possession, and then you can do a clean and show turn on with the electric company. Clean and show. And basically they let you turn it on without paying the turn on fees, the high deposit and all that other stuff. And then you just turn it back off before a new tenant moves in.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Okay,
I knew
I'm here to
about
help you.
awesome, the clean and show. Okay. And then my second question is I did, since they did not pay June's rent, I served them with a 3-day notice. Her rent, or the rent amount, is $14.50. She owed me $100 for a previous plumbing repair. So so in total, was for June, I was supposed to receive $15.50. She paid me, and she specified, I don't know why, even though I told her $100 for the plumbing repair. She texted me and sent me $200, and then she specified for plumbing repair, and then $250 for rent. And that's all she was going to pay because I have a $1,200 security deposit. So I wrote that 3-day notice as $1,100. Is that correct?
That $100 payment can't be on the 3-day anywhere because that's not rent.
No, I didn't include the plumbing. I didn't include the plumbing. So what
Okay.
I did was I took her $100 for the plumbing. I applied that. She no longer owes me, but for the plumbing. But then for whatever reason, she labeled it $200 and gave me $200 for plumbing. I took that $100 and just applied it to rent. So in total, I put $350 is what I
Perfect.
had for rent, and then I
Perfect.
deducted $1,450 minus $350, $1,100.
Perfect.
Oh, okay, perfect, great.
That was easy.
Someone had told me that when they specify it, you are not allowed to. So I'm like, do I really have to owe them a credit, even though I'm like, they ripped me off on the security deposit? So I felt like I shouldn't have to, but
It's an overage. So just apply it to the unpaid rent.
okay, got it. And then I know you mentioned, and sorry if you already answered this, I was having technical difficulties. The security deposit, once that changes July 1st, I'm already actually in that predicament because I only charged my current tenants 1 month's rent. So, but they don't want to, or not 1 month's rent. I only charge them for the security deposit. Yeah, so I guess you could say 1 month's rent. But how do landlords protect themselves so moving forward when they decide to say, I'm not going to pay that rent, that last month, use it for my security deposit? What do you have, or how do you protect yourself for the repairs?
You can't.
Oh, okay.
You wanted some wonderful, hey, how do you do? You can't. You just got to chase them for the money after they vacate.
Okay.
I'd love
Through
to
small
tell you
claims.
there's a magic secret, but there isn't one.
Okay. Got it. So those are my questions for right now.
All right. Those are easy. Thank you. Next. Something bit me right here and it itches and I'm trying not to scratch it. And then I keep messing with it. So you guys yell at me if I touch it again, okay? Like a little kid. It itches. I think it was a mosquito and it's right on my collarbone and it itches.
Oh, Patty, it's Linda again. I remembered my last question. Do we have CPI so we can know the percentage to raise the rent?
In what county?
Los Angeles.
It changes August 1st or July 1st. July 1st or August, and it goes up 0.2%. I want to say it's 4.21 maybe, or 1.2. I don't have the exact. It's not much. It's not even a full percent. It's 0.2%.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Oh, disappointedly, thank you.
I appreciate you. I can anticipate that it'll go up again next year because it's based on last year's consumer price index and the spending. So when the market crashes, it'll still go up again one more year, and then it'll start going the other direction. Because it's based on the year's spending the previous year. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yes, I get it. Thanks.
No problem. But what it's going up for LA County is atrocious. It's like 0.2%, and I'm not exaggerating. And I just touched it again. I know, because I want to itch it. Sorry. I will sit on my hand like a good student. That's what I think the percentage is going up. I saw something coming through on the CPI. It won't go up until I believe it's the end of July. I want to say August 1st, just to be safe, but I think it's July 1st. And I'd have to go look to make sure. Larso would be able to tell us that, and so would City of Los Angeles. Anybody else? Because it's 110 degrees, and although I'm sitting in my air conditioner, I do not want to be out here for long. I even have my hair up in a pin on the top of my head. It is hot, folks. Hot. Like melt the asphalt hot.
Patty, I have another question. I know you said to chase them for if your tenant moves out owing you something. Can you explain how the, I guess, small, you would have to take them to small claims court, I'm assuming. How does
Yeah.
that work?
You can take them to small claims court. It's a relatively easy process that you can handle yourself. Filing with the court is fairly easy and inexpensive. Inexpensive meaning the court filing fee is like $40, $50. It's not crazy. Okay. It's not like hundreds of dollars when you file an eviction. So for like $50, $40, I remember when it used to be $35. I don't know if it's gone up since then. I can tell you that the dollar amounts have gone up. They went up January 1st. So if you want to sue in small claims, the maximum you can ask for as an individual now is $12,500. And they did change the way those judgments are renewable. They used to renew them after 10 years for an additional 10. Now they renew them after 10 years for an additional 5. So more money, less time. And it's a pretty easy process. The paperwork to fill out is really easy. Then you have to hire somebody to serve the tenant, and then you represent yourself in the court trial. It's not extremely difficult.
Okay, got it. And then assuming I'm guessing the judge says that they'll mail you the response. So,
Oh, do you want to know why they do that?
because they don't know what to just, I don't know, maybe they don't have an answer for you right then and there. They got to look at it some more.
Why don't they? They already made up their mind. They already know the answer. Usually I can look on the court's website before you get to the car and see how they rule. Not always, but usually.
Oh, why
Do you want to know why?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I'm going to give you this reason for everything that happens, okay? Anytime a judge says, I'm going to take the ruling under submission, here's what you need to hear. I don't want to cause an argument in my courtroom. So instead of telling you who won, I'm going to mail you a letter.
I didn't think about it like that. Okay.
That's what that means. Nothing else. I don't want to deal with the argument in my courtroom, so I'm going to mail you a letter and let you know how I rule. That is what that means. Nothing else.
Okay, so you can get an answer right then and there sometimes.
Sometimes by the time I get to the car, I can look it up on the court's website and see that I won. And if my tenant was doing a lot of this, I don't know if you guys can see my hand. Yep, 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 yep. The judges hate that. They don't have time for drama. Stick to the facts, plead your case, let me make a decision, get out. That's how they think, okay? So when the tenant goes in there and starts yammering, or finding, just, it makes the judge angry. a lot of times they don't want to tell them they lost because then they have to hear more of that yabba yabba yabba. So instead they just say, "Oh, take the ruling under submission. You'll get a letter in 10 days."
Okay, got it. So could the tenant appeal that, and could there be like a round 2 of that, or once it's decided, it's done?
If you appeal a small claims ruling, then it goes to general civil and you can have an attorney represent you.
Okay, and then that's a good thing, right? Yeah. Okay. Got it. And then, so assuming they don't appeal, then do I get a judgment? I could get a judgment, then take them to collections, and then it hits their credit?
Yep.
Okay.
Landlord tenant debt doesn't hit tenant's credit reports. It doesn't show, just like evictions don't show.
Wait, can you repeat that again?
Landlord tenant debt does not show on tenants' credit reports, just like evictions don't show.
Oh, I thought they did. Okay.
No, the eviction masking law happened in 2017, January to be exact, and said if a landlord files an eviction against the tenant and the tenant and the landlord prevails, meaning they get judgment in their favor within the first 60 days of case filing, then the eviction shows. If it goes over 60 days, then the record is sealed and nobody can see that they've been evicted. So what I want you to hear is, ready?
Okay. Yes.
If a tenant asks for a trial by jury, their record's going to be sealed and nobody's going to know why they're raking me over the coals, costing me thousands of dollars.
Okay.
That tenant that leaves in the middle of the night because they got scared because you showed your teeth has an eviction on their credit. I think that's messed up. Because that tenant has the eviction on their credit that left in the middle of the night. I don't know about you, but that's the tenant I want. I want the one that left in the middle of the night. I don't want the one that asked for a trial by jury and raked me over the coals.
So the one who drags it out gets the better end of the deal, essentially. Okay.
Rewarded for bad behavior.
So then what do I get at, or how do I, if they leave owing me money, so then it's not going to show on their, on their
Correct.
credit?
Starting August 30th of 28. No, it happened 2017, same year as the masking law. Said that landlord tenant debt doesn't show on tenants' credit reports. So you can still put it on their credit, garnish their wages, things like that, but it's not going to show to a potential landlord. The only place that's going to show is if they try to purchase and they do a lending credit report.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anybody have anything else? And I'm actually impressed, Mila, with myself right at the moment, because how long ago did that law happen? And I still know verbatim what it says, when it was enacted. It's crazy.
Hey, Patty. Hi, really quick, just so when somebody moves out, for
Burn
whatever,
the building down. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
they move out, they gave a 30-day notice. 2 weeks prior to the move out, I gave them their right of initial inspection and they waived it. They didn't want to do it. So, if they don't want to do a right of initial inspection, what do you just document that they didn't want to do it, or?
So help me help you, okay?
Okay.
And everybody please understand that. By law, you must notify a tenant of their right to have an initial inspection 2 weeks prior to them vacating.
Right.
If you don't notify them of their right to have an initial inspection 2 weeks prior to them vacating, then you can't legally deduct anything from their security deposits.
Right.
Okay?
Mhm.
So all you legally have to do is notify them of their right to have that initial inspection. And in that notification, it tells them 2 weeks prior, give me a call and we'll schedule a date and time to do the inspection. If
Mhm.
they never call you to schedule that inspection, your job's done.
So just keep that notification in your documents and then you're good.
So what happens to you later down the road is you get into small claims court because now the tenant's suing you because you didn't give the full deposit back, right?
Right.
Hang on, I gotta send somebody to voicemail. There we go. Sorry. People always call me during a class. I hate it. Anyway, you get into small claims court, the tenant's suing you because they didn't get their deposit back. The first thing that judge asks everybody is, did you notify the tenant of their right to an initial inspection? If you don't pull it out of your file and hand it to the judge, you just lost. Go home.
Yep. Right.
So you are required to notify them of their right. You are not required to force that inspection down their throat.
Yeah.
Okay? It's
Mhm.
just telling them what they have to do to get their deposit back. And my initial inspections usually go like this. Don't laugh too hard, okay? So you need to clear all your stuff out of here, leave it clean like you found it, get rid of all your personal belongings. And did you have any repairs that you caused that you would be responsible for, like basketball size holes in the wall or something along those lines? No? Do you have any repairs you need to tell me about? Any damage you did? No, not that I can think of. Well, it's really hard for me to see with all your personal belongings still in here. So I'll leave you a detailed list of what you need to do to get your deposit back. The detailed list says, leave it in the same condition you received it in, with the carpets professionally cleaned, broom swept, cleaned, blah, 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 personal items removed. That's it. Done. Hit the easy button. Make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Then
Okay.
when you the final, that's when you go in detail and in depth to take photos. Hey, there's a hole in the wall. They hung pictures on the wall. They left the nails there. That's wear and tear. They pulled the nail out. They made a hole. That's damage.
Okay. So that's on the final inspection that you can also do with the tenant, right?
I never do that with the tenant.
Okay. All right.
Ever. I always tell him, okay, you're giving me the keys. You just surrendered possession. All right, I'll go ahead. I'm going to come back at a later date, do your final inspection, and I'll send you a letter.
Okay, very good. And now,
I don't get into an argument with them there.
right, you're like the judge. I'll mail you a letter.
Bingo! Bingo! If the judge can do it, so can I.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. So then you get the keys, you tell them, okay, thank you, I have the keys, you're surrendering, and then you go do your
Once the keys are in your hand, they surrendered the premises. You're done there.
right. Okay, so yeah, I do my final inspection and everything looks great. And then I have 21 days, right, in order to return the deposit.
Correct.
And then when you return the deposit, you have to also give them, I guess it would be like a deciphering, like,
Itemized statement is how I want you to look at it. And
Itemized.
how you can understand it better is line items.
mm-hmm.
Line by line by line.
Yeah. And where would we get that itemized statement? Do they have them like on AGLA or
AGLA has them, CAA has them, your legal counsel has them. It's technically called a disposition of security deposit.
Mhm.
I call it a dispo for short.
Mhm.
Property management slang, if you will. A lot of people call them a move out statement. There's various slang that goes with it, but it's all the same thing. Tomato, tomato.
And for instance, say that the property looks pretty good. I mean, there's no holes on the walls, but it's dirty and like they didn't clean it. They just left, and then they left like some trash, a few bits and pieces here and there. What do you charge for something like that? Like,
If it's a minimal amount and it's like nothing, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I pick it up and take it out.
you don't charge them anything.
No, because come on. If they didn't leave me a nightmare, I'm not going to create them one. And
Okay.
let's face it, it may take me 10 minutes to pick up 10 pieces of trash and shove them in the trash can, if it even takes that. How long is it going to take me to document, hire a cleaner, handle that, deduct it from the I don't even mess. Just scoop it up, throw it out.
Okay, so, and then when it needs, the property needs paint and this and that, that's just normal wear and tear. It's not damaged, right? So
Not
that's,
always, not always.
okay,
If the tenant's painted without written permission, that's a modification to the property without written consent of the landlord. And now you get to paint it back at their expense.
no, I'm saying like it's the same paint that we painted when we gave it to them. They live,
I got you. I'm talking to you out loud though. If they
Yeah.
put nail holes in the wall with a nail to hang a picture and they left the nail, that's wear and tear. If they pulled the nail out, now they made a hole in the wall and you can charge them to paint and patch.
Mhm.
Okay.
And what is like the norm that you would charge for stuff like this? Like where would you get,
It's
like,
not a norm. For me, it's whatever I'm charged to correct it.
okay, all right,
So I'm hiring somebody to do the work because I don't do the work myself when it's on my own property. That's just me because I deserve more than $15 an hour.
right.
Court says a landlord only gets paid $15 an hour.
Mhm.
It's not worth my blood, sweat, and tears for $15 an hour. Okay.
Okay, got
And
it.
that's me just being honest with you. I'm not, and have I done it? Absolutely. I'm a landlord. Hello. You guys all know I just laid hardwood flooring in the house I moved into, right? I
Yeah,
did it. Me. I have no nails because of it. So what I mean by that is it just depends on what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And let's face it, let's be honest. If we have a tenant that's screaming at us and cussing us out at the sheriff lockout and being atrocious, and we're just standing there being quiet, it pisses us off. And it's that disposition of security deposit where we get to kick them back. So if I can only charge you $15 to replace the blinds, but if I hire somebody and it costs $450, then I'm going to do that.
yeah. So you still
Okay.
have to put disposition for evictions?
Absolutely. Anytime you have a deposit, you are required to do a disposition of security deposit. Where you're getting confused is a lot of times you do a stipulated agreement and you put in that agreement what's going to happen with the deposit.
Uh-huh.
Ah, but if you didn't do a stipulated agreement, you have a bench trial, you have to allocate that deposit accordingly.
Okay, because usually, so I know that for the, obviously for the initial right of initial inspection, you don't have to do it if there's an eviction, an abandonment or surrender, because obviously you're not gonna have that ability to work with the tenant. But so if you're in an eviction, usually your legal counsel will deal with that with the judge, right? Where they'll say the security deposit, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, but it's your responsibility as a landlord or a property manager to make sure you understand and agree to what they're putting in that stip.
Mhm.
Because I always want to put that I get to keep the deposit,
You always want to put what? Say, can you repeat that?
that I get to keep the security deposit. The tenant is forfeiting their deposit
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and doesn't have a right to its return.
okay. And now, also, if you are on the disposition of security deposit, if you did do work, you hired a handyman or whatever, or a crew member, I have crew. Do you have to include, when you do the itemized statement and you're putting what you're deducting, do you have to include, invoices of the work that was done or no?
If you're using your maintenance staff for an in-house apartment community, you actually have, and I'm assuming you use HD Supply or something like that, that supplies you an invoice for the toilet paper holder and the other stuff that disappeared during the tenancy. You can use your HD Supply invoice for the repairs, and then you can, or for the supplies, and then you can charge maintenance hourly wage for the work.
Okay, very good. All righty.
I hope that makes sense.
It made perfect sense.
And then go to your carpet cleaner, go to your painter, and they have standard pricing for how many units you have. Like if you need the whole property painted on a 1-bedroom, they may tell you it's 1,500. For a 2-bedroom. For your community, it's 1,800 for a 3-bedroom, it's 2,500. In other words, they have a price list that fits your demographic of your community.
Right.
What you can do, since you know those are set prices, is you can use their set bill for that and pop those estimates out faster because you know what the estimate's going to be based on the bedrooms. Make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Mhm.
Awesome. Because that's what I used to do.
Okay, and so now if you send the itemized statement and say you over quote, like, and then there's money left over, then after you're finished, do you send something else with the remainder?
You send the check back to them for the difference.
But no other paperwork?
And that itemized statement with the invoices for the repairs you did.
Okay, so you send it after the work has been done.
How can you send it before the work's been done? You
I
can't.
was thinking like it would be estimates, like if that's.
Because if you can't get it done in 21 days, you write estimated on the top of the disposition.
Right,
And you now have 14 days from the day you receive the final invoice to complete the final disposition.
okay, got it. So
Even
however,
if it's 6 months from now.
got it, 14 days after the final invoice. And then
Correct.
you would just send another disposition that no longer would say, that would no longer say estimated.
It says final.
Final, right, okay, very good.
And then after you do that, if you want to remove more charges from the tenant, you
Mhm.
can do another one that says revised. You can never revise to add more money. You can only revise to take it away.
Right, okay, got it. Thank you, Patty.
So 3 different types of dispositions that can go out: estimated, final, revised.
Got it.
Patty, you can send a revised after the final?
Absolutely, if you're reducing charges owed by the tenant. Example, Patty does a final disposition of security deposit and charges all these things to the tenant. Patty's getting ready to go to court because the tenant's suing us. Patty finds out that the landlord lied and never did fix that gate. So now I'm revising it and removing that expense from the gate.
Got it. Thank you.
When I get into court, there's nothing they can argue. Make sense?
So Patty, if they did not leave an address, obviously you send it back to the last known address, which would be the property. So then it's just going to end up back in my hands. What
Unless
then?
they put in a forwarding address.
Oh, okay. So like, actually I would have to look at their, or contact the post office then?
No, if you get it back, then they didn't put in a forwarding address. If you don't get it back, they put in a forwarding address and it got forwarded to their new address.
Okay, got it.
Hey, Patty, how do I find out the tenant's new address? Oh, that's easy. You just mail them a blank piece of paper and at the bottom put address correction requested.
Address, what was it?
Correction.
Address correction.
Yeah, 'cause
Requested
then they send it, yeah, they send it back to you with the red,
with the yellow
label.
sticker on it with their new address. And if they accidentally forward it to the tenant, all they got was a blank piece of paper. So when they call you, you say, oh, I'm sorry, that must have been sent in error.
Got it. It would be so much easier if they just gave me their forwarding address and I've requested it a couple of times, but now at this point they are ignoring me. So
Tenants are really bad LLPOFs.
what is that?
Liar, liar, pants on
Oh,
fire.
okay.
LLPOF, right? And
Got
it
it.
sucks when you're trying to send them money and they're hiding from you. I mean, I've dealt with all kinds.
Mhm. Okay. And I know you said on the move out inspection, you say you will not be doing it with them there. You'll do it at a later time. If they insist
It
and say,
depends on the situation, whether I'll do it with them standing there or not. But 9 times out of 10, I don't. Just for the same example of taking it under submission.
Got it. I just didn't know how to respond if they were to say, no, I want to be there. Why can't you do it now? We're both here.
Well, I'm here to collect the keys and I have another appointment, so I'll come back at a later date to do the final walkthrough inspection and I'll be sending you a letter.
I like it. Got it.
Just because they didn't like the answer you gave them doesn't mean you shouldn't repeat it again.
Okay. And I know you mentioned the whole nails versus holes. So they're allowed to leave nails and I can't charge them. But as soon as they take it out, I can charge them. But what if it's a lot of nails that I have to take out?
Then it's excessive and it's no longer wear and tear and it's considered damage.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Hi,
If you have a
Patty.
tenant, Patty, if you have
Yes,
a tenant
I'll
that,
wait.
that put up draperies, if I say to them, when you move out, if you leave them, then I won't charge you, for repairing the holes or anything. Is that can I
That's
do
fine.
that?
I don't see that as an issue.
Okay,
If it's benefiting you, you're not going to charge them.
right.
Arlene, can you put the livable stuff in here? People are asking me about livable and apparently they livabled and Googled and it came up some halfway house.
Okay,
they're
I'll sorry about
they're
that. All right.
messaging you right now. Put
Okay,
it
I'll
in the
put it in.
chat. Put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat. Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Patty.
Yes.
There was a single family house and we put an ADU. So from July 1st, only 1 month security deposit for the ADU rent out.
Yes, if you rent it after July 1st, you can only ask for 1 month's rent as a security deposit.
What about the rent control since it's a new building?
That has nothing to do, the rent control will be exempt for the first 15 years. And at 15 years and 1 month, it'll be subject to rent control. The house that's been sitting there for years immediately has rent control when the ADU gets a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
All right, and I see a question for Val. I'm gonna answer it real quick. Hi, Patty. I have a tenant that pays by sending an online bank check, which takes a minimum of 1 week to arrive. I've asked her a dozen times to send it early, so I receive it by the 5th. While I hate this, I suppose if the mail's postmarked on the 5th, then it's not late, even though I receive it a week later. You're absolutely correct, Val. And how you do that is remove your grace period. Make the rent due on the 1st, delinquent on the 2nd. Okay? Hope that makes sense. And I'm waiting for her to put the livable link in there so you guys can see it and that it exists. And then I'm going to end this for today because you guys, it's 110 degrees and I am melting. Have my hair up in a pit on the top of my head. I might as well be sitting here in my underwear, but I'm not. But it's hot. Thank you, Arlene. And what else do I have to tell you guys? What do I have going on? We're coming up on July 1st, and that's all I'm trying to gear you guys up and prepare you for. Because if you try to charge the higher deposit and you legally can, your tenant's going to argue. So watch out for that and be careful or be prepared. Because you're probably going to have the law in writing and show them that you absolutely can ask for more deposit.
Patty,
If
did
you
it come
are-
through?
I don't see it in the
I
chat.
sent it twice.
I don't see it in the chat.
I don't see it either, and I've sent it twice. Can I just verbally give it to people?
Give it
All right, hold
now.
on. All right, hold on.
I'm like, what is it?
It's
I know
called
it's
Livable, and the phone number I have is 877
877
789
789
6027.
6027. And I put it in the chat for everybody. So everybody that sees that phone number, I hope everybody can see it.
And I'm going to give you a
877
second number because I'm not sure which one will work better. There's also
Okay.
877
Okay.
715
715
3346.
3346 coming in the chat now. You guys see that? Everybody screenshot it, take a picture, whatever you need. Because
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna
Arlene.
yeah, I'm gonna go back. Yeah, people are yelling, thank you, Arlene.
Okay, good. Yeah, it really, I'll just share
Livable
with you.
makes your life so much easier, does it not, Arlene?
It does, but I was really pleased yesterday when I got the when I've added other things to it.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm not just doing utilities, I'm doing fire protection for the alarms. I'm doing gardener, I'm doing exterminator. And
Livable will help you figure out
they
what you can and can't charge.
correct. So, really tell them everything that you're doing on your property because I started out with just a couple of things and realized that I'm able to do much more. And this new tenant that just moved in has like 5 or 6 things, and it's significantly different.
Yeah, I hear you. It's great to have a tool that actually works and is beneficial to us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I see that, Val. Yes, it is a heat wave coming. We're not done yet. I used to say that it made my fat sizzle like bacon, but I've lost so much weight. I don't feel like I can say that anymore. I don't I you know, I don't do well with heat. I think it's because midlife and hot flashes and yeah, I don't like the heat. I'd rather be cold. I can put on jackets. I can warm up. All right, everybody. I see people saying bye. Everybody go enjoy your lunch and get back
Yeah.
to work. Tomorrow
Bye,
is
Patty.
Friday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. Feel better.
Thank you. Happy Friday, everybody. Oh, and the reason I didn't make it yesterday is life happened to me. And for those of you that want to stay and hear what happened to Patty, I will tell you. So I went and turned on the drip line system to my cherry tree to water my cherry tree. And I realized there was ants all over the backyard. You know, it's hot. So I had red ants and black ants and big army ants. So I went back in the garage to get the bug spray because I was going to come spray all those ants. And as I went out the garage door, I brushed up against the freezer. And the freezer was so hot, it burned my arm. Wait, what's happening here? So then Patty started messing with the freezer and I pulled it away from the wall and was trying to figure out why it was so hot. Well, it was so hot because my kid left the door open and it was trying to freeze the whole garage. So it was running all day. And all of my fish and all of my filet mignon and all of my meat in my freezer is now thawed and no longer cold. So it's, do I start cooking or do I get the dumpster? And then there's an and then. After I deal with all of that, I realize I've left the drip line system on in the backyard and my backyard is now completely flooded. So life happened to Patty, not one thing, but 3 things, bam, bam, all together. So that's why I canceled yesterday. It was bad for me. Life was happening to me. I apologize. I almost called everybody and said, come over and pick up all the fish. We're having a fish fry. But I didn't. I threw away probably 30 pounds of saltwater fish fillets. Fresh, not even 2 weeks old, right out of the freezer. Not to mention quite a bit of steak and some pork chops. My whole deep freezer, stand up deep freezer, gone. All right, you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your weekend. Bye, everybody.